So we are here by the Wisconsin River. Just got done with the hike this morning, and we thought we would do a little intro to a video we're going to do for you. Just some questions and answers on the AT, because I know lots of you have lots of questions, just general questions like what the AT is all about. Do you have anything to say?
I'm just here to look pretty.
So, most asked questions. The most asked question that Greg and I get first and foremost is, have we read the book Wild? Have we read the book A Walk in the Woods? And yes, we've read both books. We've seen both movies, and they're both a little glorified and a little exaggerated, I think. Bill Bryson didn't even finish the Appalachian Trail, so he's not technically a thru hiker. To be called a thru hiker, you have to finish the whole Appalachian Trail within a 1 calendar year time frame. So anyway, the movies were fine, but I think our adventure is going to be pretty different, more down to earth and more difficult and hard. Another question we get asked a lot is, what are you going to do for food? Well, we're going to pack in our packs probably 3 to 5 days worth of food at all times, and we'll be stopping in trail towns every 3 to 5 days to get another resupply of food. So that's what we're doing for food. We will have a cook stove, so we're going to be boiling water and cooking a hot meal each night. We're going to try to use it just once a day at night. So in the morning and for lunch, we're going to eat cold food, and in between, snacks and water. Another question is, how often do we shower? Well, we are going to stink. That's just the bottom line. All thru hikers do. We all become used to it, hopefully, because it's a really bad smell. But we all get used to each other. We all stink. We're only going to get a shower probably once a week, or maybe more than once a week, but hopefully the worst case scenario will be once a week. When we stop in a trail town, we'll be at a hostel. We'll be able to do laundry, take a shower, eat some really good town food, and resupply. Another question is, how long is our thru hike going to take us? Well, it's hard to know because we don't know exactly how many miles we're going to get up to a day, but we're planning on it taking no more than 6 months. So we'll be starting March 22nd, and hopefully we'll get done by mid-October, mid-September, late September, or it could be early October too. The summit in Maine, Mount Katahdin, does close the park October 15th for winter, so we'd really like to close before then. Will we have cell service? Not all the time. We hear the best cell carrier is Verizon, so we will be having Verizon cell service, and sometimes we may get a signal, we might not. Basically, we're going to keep our phones on airplane mode all the time and just take pictures and videos when we can, and only use it when we're in town, and then we can recharge it as well. We will have a separate individual battery charger, or I don't know what it's called. There's an anchor charger, and we can charge our cell phones, our headlamps, and any other electronics we have, but I think that's all we're going to take is our 2 cell phones and our headlamps. I might take my iPod Shuffle because it's really teeny tiny, really small, and I think that's it. Okay, some statistics for the trail. Thousands of people attempt to do a thru hike every year. Only 1 in 4 actually make it, so it's pretty grueling. Some people say it's harder mentally than physically, although it is very difficult physically. It gets to people. People get really lonely, they miss their families, and it's hard hiking 20-some miles every day, all day long. Every day you're just hiking. Your body gets really worn out, you're sore, tired, hungry all the time. So it's really hard. Hopefully, it's a challenge for us. That's why we really want to do it. And I know there's going to be some really great points, some really great views. We're going to meet some really cool people, and it's going to be the adventure of a lifetime. Percent of women on the trail. It's around 25% women is what I've heard. Another statistic is, what age are people who do the trail? 50% of people are in their 20s, so it's a lot of young people, a lot of people right out of college who just want to kind of take a gap year and find themselves, or they don't know what they want to do next. This is something a lot of young people do. So there will be a lot of young people. There are some people our age or older. A lot of people do it when they're retired. Their kids are all gone. They finally have a chance to take 6 months off work or a sabbatical, or they're retired. So they have time to hike the trail then. The trail total is 2,189.1 miles. That changes every year because little parts of the trail move, or they might want to change something. So that changes every year, but that's approximately what it will be for 2017. It goes through 14 states. We're going to start in Georgia, south, and go up to Maine. Then it covers 14 states in between, or total. And what else? The highest elevation is 6,644 feet. That's Klingman's Dome. So that's kind of a well-known place. The most photographed place on the trail is called McAfee Knob, and it's kind of a ledge that juts out, and people like to sit on it. It makes a really cool picture, especially at sunrise or sunset. That would be really cool if we could do it then, but we'll just have to see. And of course at the end, Mount Katahdin has the famous Katahdin sign on top of the mountain, and that's the end point. So it's a really cool landmark, and I can't imagine having my picture taken up there, but hopefully we'll get to that point. The halfway point is Harper's Ferry, and there's a ATC, or the Appalachian Trail Conservancy point building there. Bug on my video. They like to take your picture at the sign there, so that's kind of a cool point to make it halfway. And there's other little things along the way. There's challenges you can do, hikers get really hungry, so there's a half-gallon ice cream challenge. You have to eat it in so many minutes. I don't think I'm going to be doing that, but maybe Greg will. I don't know. Okay, some terms for you. There's lots of different hiking terms on the AT.
Let's talk about how the trail is marked. There are things called blazes, which are 2x6 painted stripes, either on a rock or a tree, that kind of show the way. The main trail, the AT, is white blazed, but there are also blue blazes, and a derogatory term is yellow blaze. A blue blaze is going to be a side trail that leads to maybe to a water source, to a trail town, or maybe a shelter. The yellow blaze is, like I said, a derogatory term talking about someone who is skipping parts of the trail by hitching a ride. The yellow comes from the yellow part of the freeway.
Another term is trail name. What is a trail name?
A trail name is something that's either given to a hiker or assumed by that hiker, and it's basically a way to reference each other so you don't use your actual name.
There's a term called trail magic. This is when someone leaves usually food for the hikers on the trail. So some kind soul who lives close by to the trail might come onto the trail and leave a cooler right off the AT and say, "Trail magic, help yourself," and in it you'll find cold sodas, food, good stuff to eat. Hikers love trail magic. It's the best thing ever, especially when you've been hiking all day and you're hungry, you're tired, and all of a sudden you come across a cooler with really cold soda in it. That's the best thing ever. Trail angels are the people who provide trail magic. They take care of hikers. I mean, people they want to reach out to the hikers and help them. They know they're doing something really hard, and it's really nice just to have a community all along the trail through all these different states, or friends and family back home. I mean, anybody can be a trail angel. It's just someone who helps a hiker with anything. You give them a Snicker bar, or you send them some homemade cookies to one of the trail towns. Anybody can be a trail angel. It's just someone who helps or takes care of or provides a service to the hikers. We love trail angels. I already went over a through hiker and a section hiker. There's also a day hiker, which is just someone who goes out and hikes just in one day a certain little part of the Appalachian Trail. Hiker box. This is a box, just a normal box or whatever, that can be found at most hostels, or sometimes places you might eat in trail towns might have hiker boxes, and people put stuff in there they don't want anymore, they don't want to carry. You can find some really good items in there sometimes, so you can put something in if you don't need it, and you can also take something if you need it. It's all free, it's just for hikers, and hiker boxes can be a really cool thing. Cowboy camping is when you camp just outside with no tent, no shelter, just sleep outside in your sleeping bag and your sleeping pad under the stars. I don't know if I'll be doing this. I'm kind of scared to do that, like a spider might crawl across my face or something, but I might, you never know. A shelter, there's several shelters along the trail. This is not to be confused with trail towns and hostels. Shelters are on the trail in the mountains. It's basically just a platform with 2 walls on either side and a roof. So one wall is open to the elements. They can be really basic, really small. Some can be larger. Some are definitely nicer than others. I'll have to show you when we start the trail what they're like. I don't know if we'll be sleeping in them that much because they tend to have a lot of mice in them. So we're planning to use our tent most nights, but you never know. If it's really raining or pouring out, it might be better to sleep in a shelter one night. They can also be kind of crowded, especially in the beginning. So that's why we want to have our tent for sure. A 0 day is a day that a hiker takes off and just rests their legs. 0 meaning 0 miles hiked that day. You don't hike at all, you just rest, you hang out. You might walk around a little bit in town, but no hiking. The point is to rest your feet, air them out. If you have blisters, take care of them. And we definitely plan to do a 0 day, especially starting out, once a week. Really important to take a 0 day just to keep up our spirits, our strength, and physically just to feel okay. A Nero day is close to a 0, but not completely a 0. So you might hike 8 miles into town and then take the rest of the day off. So half day hiking, half day resting. Then you get up the next morning and start hiking again. Trail town, I already covered. It's where they have you hike off the trail a little bit and you can resupply your food, or sometimes there's hostels or hotels, restaurants, etc. Hiker trash is a term that hikers use to describe themselves or people talking about the hikers, because they're kind of trashy, because they don't shower except once a week, they stink, they'll almost do anything for food. So yeah, hiker trash, but I think we're going to be proud to call ourselves hiker trash. Some acronyms, I think these are called, is NOBO, that stands for northbounder, which is what we'll be, because we'll be hiking northbound, starting in Georgia going to Maine. There's also SOBO, which is southbounder. They start in Maine and go to Georgia. That's not as prevalent. Most people start in Georgia and go to Maine. A lash is a long ass section hiker. So they do a section of the trail at a time, but they do long sections. AYCE, all you can eat. Everybody loves all you can eat on the trail. I can't imagine being hungry all the time, but I think I will be, from what I hear. AT, obviously Appalachian Trail. And HYOH is hike your own hike. This is something you'll hear a lot. Everyone needs to do what's right for them. If it's hiking slower, you need to do it. It doesn't depend what anybody else does. You just need to do your own thing. Would you like to talk about going to the bathroom on the trail?
You have to do it.
How do you do it? Where do you do it?
If you're a guy, number one, PP.
You have it a lot easier.
Yeah, you just whip it out.
And how do you go number 2?
Well, you find you a nice secluded place in the wood, hopefully overlooking a nice serene lake, and you squat.
Well, you have to dig a hole first.
You dig a hole. It should be six inches deep, which is pretty deep. Then you squat, and you grab a magazine, and take care of business. Then you cover it with dirt and stir it with a stick so it decomposes faster. And then you
put a stick in it
so people know that that's a poop hole.
And don't dig in it again.
Yeah, and then you go back to hiking because you're a little bit lighter now.
Animals on the AT. There's lots of animals. There are snakes. rattlesnakes, copperheads. I don't know how many. I don't think a lot of copperheads, but there will be rattlesnakes, and lots of other snakes like black snakes, garters, yeah, you know, things that aren't really poisonous, but a lot of snakes. And I think the most important thing is to have Greg walk in front of me so he can find all the snakes first and warn me. He has a really good eye for snakes because he loves snakes. And so he'll find them first, and then I will be fine. So everything will be cool. And he won't get bit because he knows how to avoid snakes. There's lots of spiders, which I think I've never liked spiders. That's no secret. But I've really had to get used to them more so living in Costa Rica because there are tarantulas there. And I think that is the worst type of spider I could ever see. And I've seen them. So I don't think there's any tarantulas on the trail. So they'll just be, you know, no big deal. Mice. There's lots of mice in the shelters. So when people sleep in shelters, you have to be aware of this. We all hang our food bags up at night. They're called bear bag hanging, mainly for the bears, because you want the food to be out of reach of the bears and away from where you're sleeping. Also, if you're in a shelter, you don't want it to be in the shelter with you because mice will tear into your pack. If you have any food whatsoever, they will find it. They also just like kind of run around and scamper at night, so that might be kind of weird. I don't know how people deal with that, but I might be telling you about it, so we'll see. There's lots of mosquitoes and flies the more we get up north, and also ticks. Which of course can cause Lyme's disease. We have to be very careful about that. One thing we're doing is we're going to send our clothes off, all the clothes that we're taking on the trip with us, and have them treated with permethrin, which will prevent against lots of bugs, mosquitoes, ticks, black flies, no-see-ums, and some other stuff. So I think that'll really help us a lot, and we'll probably bring like a spray DEET along as well, just for extra protection. Greg and I also have a mosquito net we can wear totally over a hat and our face that cinches around us. So I think that would be the most uncomfortable thing, is having them in your face and your eyes all the time when you're hiking. And bears. There are black bears on the trail, no grizzlies, which is good. Black bears are much kinder, non-aggressive. They usually don't want anything to do with people. It's good to make noise and talk while you're hiking, because if bears hear you, they're not startled by you. They just kind of look at you and then they turn around and go the other way, most of the time. Of course, there's exceptions. When you come across cubs, you might think that's really cute, but that is not a good thing, because the mother bear is probably close by and she will do anything to protect her cubs. So if you become caught between her cubs and the mother bear, not good. What we're doing to prevent against bears, I mean, I don't think there's really anything you can do except, of course, hang your food bag every single night. This includes anything that smells, like your toothpaste, wet wipes, your cook pot, because it might have food in it still. And I think I might be getting some bear spray too. It's just like a little thing you can have, and that's only if a bear comes towards you like it's gonna attack you. You can spray it in their face, and it's supposed to totally be like pepper spray. It affects them, and they, you know, it stalls them. So that's it. That's it for animals as far as I can think of. I'm sure there's lots of other little bugs and stuff, but that's in the main things. Our packs. Me and Greg will carry everything we need in our packs. And if you saw my recent video in Devil's Lake camping trip, we took everything that we're going to need on the AT in our packs, and we were really happy because we're trying to go as lightweight as possible. And my pack weighed in at 22 pounds and Greg's at 25, so that's really good with 3 days of food and 2 liters of water. Also in our packs is going to be our tent, which Greg will take, our clothing, jackets, rain gear, sleeping bags, which are actually quilts, sleeping pads. We'll also have a guidebook. AWOL puts out a guidebook every year, and we'll have an app called the Gut Hook app on our phone, which you can use even without cell coverage or cell data. So that'll be nice to have. It kind of tells you where the water sources are, and people can input their comments along the trail, so you know if it's like dried up or if it's still good. Can you talk about how many miles we're going to hike a day?
We will start out pretty slow, maybe 8 to 10 miles a day for the first 3 weeks or so. And the sun's right in my eyes, but after that, I think 15 to 20 miles as we build our endurance will be typical. Basically, for the duration of the trail, taking 1 day off a week to rest, we have to average 15 miles a day in order to complete the trail within 6 months. So that's our goal.
Think we can do it?
Absolutely.
We're gonna do it.
We can do it.
So just to close this video, we'd like to tell you how you can follow us when we start the AT. We're going to start March 22nd, and we're both going to have YouTube channels. Mine is under Jen Beck-Seymour, and Greg?
I have no idea what my YouTube channel is going to be yet.
But we will keep you posted on that. And we're also going to have a blog. It's going to be called Appalachian Trail Tales.com, Tales, like stories about the trail. And we're going to have gear reviews, blog posts, videos, everything AT on there. So please follow us.
Bye.
Happy trails. We're going to meet some really cool people, and it's going to be the adventure of a lifetime for us. Bug. Greg, tell us what we're going to do for water and how we're going to filter it.
No. So, turn it off. Trail name is something either given or assumed by the person. Turn it off. Basically a way to reference each other so you don't use your actual name. I don't like this question.
Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thanks.